Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel, or you have not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and there's also a PayPal link in the info box below the video once it's rendered. But most importantly, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Travis. Chocolate saying, how you doing?
Yo, what's up, man?
Not much yet. And Sleeping Warrior, how you all doing?
Yo.
Stuck in traffic.
Traffic
Yay.
Oh, good to have you all.
Let's do housekeeping, Nathan.
Any signs of curvature?
There's
Sly
a curb
claimed
in the road.
Sly claimed it, but I kicked his ass on that one, and he hasn't been back for more. He pretends that he's got curved, but he hasn't. So the answer, I guess, I suppose, is no.
No signs of Earth curve. About axial rotation. Any signs of that?
No.
Negative.
A self-perpetuating molten iron core?
Paul Voigt claims he's got evidence very recently in the last couple of days. He claims that he's got evidence that proves that there is a molten iron core. We've asked him for this evidence, and so far, nothing.
Well, I saw that in the chat too. So I'm sure at the time I even said, come on, let's hear it. And he didn't join.
Of course he didn't. The question is why.
When did he join last? Like 6 months ago or something like that?
Probably, yeah. It's got to be 6 months ago.
I think the last time I remember him joining was when we were talking about the reduced map. That was the whether the question you asked the question whether or not the Ordnance Survey maps were based on a flat plane or based on a sphere, and it turns out that they reduced the map back to its something. I can't remember the phraseology now, but it was the word reduced, and Paul wasn't having it, and I was like, no, that's what it says. But anyway, that was the last time I remember seeing him.
About a pressurized system next to a vacuum. Has anybody demonstrated any evidence of that?
I'm so glad you asked about that. I often cite Red's rhetoric for this one, but I'm going to change my citation now. Because Reds is never going to be able to prove gravity, right? I know he's got the explanation, but can he prove it? And obviously the answer, of course, is no. I've been reminded of somebody with an outstanding issue. M. Scott Veitch, the son of the astronaut. There was a conversation that took place a while ago, and the claim was there is no evidence for astronauts in space in the vacuum chambers to be tested. And obviously, with M. Scott Veitch and M. Scott Veitch's daddy being an astronaut, this is something that we could quite practically get hold of. We could get hold of a NASA suit because M. Scott Veitch's daddy was an astronaut, and we could get hold of a vac chamber. I'm pretty sure that he could get that sorted. And as far as I know, he has been making efforts to do it. Don't know how far he's got, but I'd like to know where he has got up to, if anywhere. There are only rumours at this point, but I believe he's actually trying. So with regards to the pressurized environment next to a vacuum in space, I'm going to recite, I'm going to remove Reds because he can't prove gravity, even though he can explain it. And I'm going to ask M. Scott Veitch to be the one to take the mantle on, and let's sort out this vacuum chamber, because, of course, if a vacuum chamber can sustain a spaceman in a fabric spacesuit, and it adds some credibility to the lie that is NASA telling everybody that they can go to space. So M. Scott Veitch would be the one from now, not Red's rhetoric. M. Scott Veitch.
Okay, I can go with that. Adds some credibility.
Yeah.
That's about all. I mean, it's another. I don't want it to become another affirming the consequent. In other words, if we can pressurize a suit in a vacuum chamber, then space is real. That's just nonsense. It doesn't prove that. It may prove that spacesuits can take a vacuum. So what?
Well,
Right.
sure. Ultimately, I mean, only a moron would claim that it proves that spacemen can go to space. All it would do is add credibility to the idea that their fabric spacesuits are capable of doing what they tell us that their spacesuits actually do.
Fair
And
enough.
nothing more, of course.
Yep, fair enough. I'll agree with that completely. Cool.
Shout out to Scott Beach.
Any signs of R?
No.
Have you got some R? Any evidence of R? No?
In actuality, Unorthodox is in chat talking about he has proof of R.
I don't think he has proof of his own birth certificate, let alone proof of our.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
I'm just playing with a penknife. Ignore me.
Be careful, Anthony.
Yeah, I shouldn't be trusted with knives.
Well, before we go on to the armory talk, does that conclude housekeeping? I'll stick the link out. I've actually
Yeah, I
forgotten.
believe so. So anybody that sees Scott Beach, just ask him how is he getting on sorting out a spaceman suit or a vac chamber, because Mark Sargent's waiting to find out if he can sort this out. Let's do it. And I volunteer Nathan to be the guy that pulls the button, pulls the trigger that does it.
Hey, can I ask why is gravity not part of the housekeeping? Like, do we have any proof of gravity? And I mean, take your pick, whether it's Einsteinian or Newtonian. I mean, you don't have any proof of that crap either.
That's a fair shout, to be fair, Nathan.
Say again, my kid was squealing in my ear.
No, I said, why gravity as far as housekeeping? Like, why don't we throw that in there somehow? Like, I mean, there's no proof of gravity, so.
Okay, so let's add that to the list. I will cite GCSE and A-level science because he claims that he can contrast gravity from density and demonstrate its case. And so far he's done it with maths. Force equals acceleration times mass. And if you've got an acceleration and you've got a mass, according to the equation, you must therefore have a force. Yeah, no.
Morning, guys.
Morning.
Hey, Jose.
Shout out to the flat earthers on the chat room over there. Unorthodox, Lenny, Alan B, etc.
Unorthodox is not a flat earther.
Yeah, he's ribbing him.
Oh yeah, I'm messing because if they're here, they gotta be flat earther. Everybody
Yeah,
is defending the globe or not.
right.
Well, according to TruthSeeker yesterday, everyone knows the Earth is flat, so why are we banging on about it when we could be talking about the deceivers who have instigated this, if they indeed exist?
Yeah.
Right.
So, what was I saying then before? Pozek joined.
Yeah.
Gravity,
So,
yeah. Gravity.
yeah.
So, GCSE and A-level science claims that you can demonstrate gravity, and I say that you can't contrast it against density. And so far, he's come up with force equals mass times acceleration. And he claims that if there is a mass that is accelerating, it must therefore have a force. So obviously, if you get a toy car and it weighs a certain amount, that would be its mass. And then you give it an acceleration, that would give you the acceleration. Therefore, you can calculate the force that was required to push it. So you can see the hand pushing the car, right? However, if you get the same car and you drop it off a cliff, you have an acceleration and you have a mass, but you don't have a force. You must assume that the force is there because the mass tells you it is. So you're assuming that there's a force, but there's no evidence that there is actually a force other than the density itself, which doesn't require a force. And he doesn't seem to understand that. I'm working on it, but there's a few things actually. Axial rotation, yeah. So I'll go back to that one briefly. He's actually gone out and bought a gyroscope, and he's going to try and recreate some experiments or tests. And in the tests he's going to recreate, one of them he's going to try and do is stick it on a turning table of a 15-degree an hour rotation to prove or to show that the gyroscope is sensitive enough to record a 15-degree rotation in 1 hour. And of course, if he does that, he's only going to get the 15 degrees rotation in an hour. However, if the Earth's actually spinning, you should also get the spin of the Earth because that's also 15 degrees an hour. So you should get somewhere near 30 degrees. There's a small adjustment for the longitude and the exact longitude, latitude of where we're at, but nonetheless, you should get a value greater than 15, but less than 30 because of the Earth's rotation. If the gyroscope can do it, we all know that it can do it. But where's that rotation? Where's the axial rotation, sir? And he's shouted out, he's called out sheeps and neeps as well on the hydrogen and oxygen point. Apparently, sheeps and neeps, I believe, and take me with a pinch of salt on this because I don't want to butcher this because chemistry is not something that I've got any interest in whatsoever. So I'm not going to try and pretend that I do know what I'm talking about with chemistry because I don't. But sheeps and neeps is claiming that it's its own element in its own right. It's not made of hydrogen and oxygen. It's an element in itself. It's not a compound. And he's calling on it. That GCSE and A-level science guys calling him on it. He's going to try and have some kind of discussion or debate with him. Good luck on that. But nonetheless, he has been called on it. He's aware that there's an outstanding issue, and I'm hoping that gets dealt with pretty soon because I can't wait to see that one.
Yeah.
You reckon that'll happen?
Yeah.
Excellent. I'd watch that.
I'd watch that too. So
Okay, well, we'll add gravity to the housekeeping then. No worries.
Cool.
All in
Now,
agreement?
should we break it down between the two different types of gravity, or just gravity in general? Like, should we break it down?
That's kind of the question you ask them when they get in and start proposing it, really. So if someone comes in and says gravity is real, you can then say, what type of gravity are you referring to? And see where they go.
Right.
I'm hoping to do another show with John about the scientific method, specifically the scientific method. So this was his suggestion, but I was all for it. It's one of those that I think if people hear it 10 more times, they might actually start using it as an argument, as opposed to completely ignoring it and then calling everything an experiment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is where we can win the arguments. You know, these guys claim to be backed by science, and if we start saying, okay, let's have your science then, and they haven't got any, then that's embarrassing to say the least, if they're claiming to be backed by science.
Well, they haven't been able to produce any evidence so far. The best that they come up with is Cavendish or Foucault's pendulum. So what makes you think that they would have any more if they're being demanded for it already, like in addition to what they've already been had? I mean, they don't have any evidence, otherwise it would have been presented. It's just a belief. They believe they got the evidence because it's essentially a circle jerk.
Sure, but there may be derivatives of those experiments, quasi-experiments, because they're certainly not scientific experiments. But there may be sort of derivatives that people come along and say, here you go, this proves gravity. And you can then trace it back to the root sources. You know, ultimately speaking, I feel that the heliocentric system, it smears bullshit over the top of any cracks that are exposed. And I don't know, I'd like to hope that we're exposing too many cracks too quickly. Maybe that's my own grandiosity, I don't know.
But what all they'll do is they'll just add another layer of bullshit to the cracks to hide the fact that there was bullshit there in the first place, right?
Yeah, but that's the good thing about lies. I know there's never anything great about lies, but ultimately you can pick apart a lie much easier the bigger the lie gets. So with every layer of heliocentric smear, others will find it easier to pick the lie apart.
Yeah, that's what I call in my episodes the Saint Nick fallacy. And that is that you have to continue to, as your child gets older and starts to ask questions about how Saint Nick can do what he does, you have to keep telling a more grandiose story and just keep building it and building it and smearing it until finally, either you give up telling a lie or the kid comes wise himself.
Yeah, because ultimately you're going to have to. I mean, it's bizarre how the ballers are still like happy to push the lie, because they must realise that there is a lack of evidence for all of the main claims, but they accept it. And I'm like, really? I just find that preposterous.
Like a lack of intelligence, really, because I mean, people like Brenda will come in here and just speak nonsense and then say that everything, all the flat earthers are saying is gibberish. Like, what the hell's wrong with you?
Hey, Alan
Like, I
and
wonder if
Arwen.
these
How you
people.
doing?
Hello, hello,
Hello.
guys. The Flat Earth's favourite content provider is here. Never fear.
Didn't know you produced any content.
What's all this doxing shit conversation, Alan?
All this what?
Doxing conversation that we're hearing about with you.
How do you dox somebody with publicly available material?
That's what doxing is.
Yeah.
So if somebody has a Twitter account,
That's like asking what gossip is if you're telling something that somebody else knows that they don't have any right knowing. They don't need
how do you dox somebody when it's publicly available?
What does dox mean?
to do it.
Hold on,
You don't
everyone, calm
need to.
down. Hold on. What does dox mean? What's it the abbreviation of?
I've no idea.
So you don't know what dox means?
Really?
You're arguing what it means. You're arguing what it is, and you don't know what it means.
Well, all this information and photographs are on a publicly available site, available to everybody on Google. So there you go.
Yeah, those
but
I
are...
think that-
Hold on. Those publicly available informations that you are talking about are documents. So they're publicly available documents. That's where docs comes from. It's to go and find, sort out, look for publicly available documents.
Public available.
Yeah, I've just stated that 4 times, Alan. Yeah, I understand the meaning of the word docs. You're using it like it's some sort of justification that they're publicly available. Yeah?
Public available.
Yes, you've said it 5 times, Alan, like we don't get it, dumbass. We get it.
No,
You
just-
don't. You didn't even know what the word meant until I explained it 20 seconds ago.
You don't explain anything.
I just did. I just explained what docs means. The origins. Yeah? Documents. Publicly available documents. So sorting out someone's publicly available documents and going, I've doxed them with publicly available documents. Well, yeah, that's the definition. That's what it is. Idiot.
And dickhead.
Yeah, I agree. I just don't know why it's considered acceptable because it's a publicly available document to do what he's doing, which is essentially using a publicly available document as a weapon. I mean, the reality is none of us really give a shit. The only ones that care about doxing is ballers, but they use it as a weapon. Why? Why is it used as a weapon?
Yeah,
To invade
exactly.
people's privacy. While
They don't have
keep
very many other
perfectly
weapons.
anonymous, like a bunch of cowards.
Yeah, because
So-
they don't have many weapons in their arsenal, so they don't have proof of things. They don't have, any evidence of what we're looking for. So they just come up with other crap, other ways to get at us.
Nathan, would you mind sharing my screen?
You're on.
This is a lot of people will be familiar with Maslow's motivation theory or Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Well, this is something called Graham's hierarchy of disagreement. And essentially, when there's a disagreement, like the shape of the Earth, these are the points or the levels of disagreement that we have. Now, a lot of the time, I'll be honest, Nathan sits in the bottom one here, like you are an asshat. That is a phrase that Nathan actually uses. However, he uses it in conjunction with explicitly refuting the central point. So ultimately, all these different layers have got different levels of severity, and I always try and deal with the specific point. But look at where, like the ad hom, attacking the characteristics or the authority of the writer without addressing the substance of the argument. Look at where it sits in the characteristic in the pyramid. It sits right down at the bottom, just above name calling. But if you're going to attack the characteristics, i.e., the publicly available documents of the writer, in this case Arwen, without addressing the substance of the argument, it's an ad hom attack. That's all it is, and it's right down at the bottom. It's just above Nathan calling you a moron. So it's like, really? Why would you do that? And again, I'll repeat what I say. No flat earthers are interested in doxing anybody. It's only ballers. So, Alan, you should be ashamed of yourself that you're using a publicly available document as an attempt to try and discredit anybody for whatever purpose and using it as a weapon. It's ridiculous. And you deserve to be kicked because I was just about to do it myself. It's disgusting.
Now, I would have done it instantly if I was already in the back chat, but I wasn't. Hey, promise is a promise.
Oh well.
That was one of a few of the ballers' tactics that I stole just because they would do it. So initially, when my arguments were poor, they would refute my arguments with theirs and then call me an asshat. And it's a real sting, you know, because you can't just claim, oh, well, that's just name calling, or if, you know, they insult your intelligence, that's just an ad hominem attack, because it isn't. If you're backing it up with actual facts or actual evidence that supports your position, and then you call someone an asshat, it's just a low blow, which is why I do it to the ballers.
And we love it.
Hey, was that Woz or Jazz? I always forget. I always get mixed up the two icons. Jazz, how you doing, Jazz?
Yes. Yeah, g'day. It's me, Jazz. Sorry about the other night, fellas.
Seem to be apologising a lot recently.
I was going to say, you apologised last time. What did you do last time?
I was just going to say is.
Oh no, I just, it's just in my mentality. I just don't like to be an asshole. But if I was, I do deeply apologise.
I think there's a correlation between the level of intoxication and the amount of asshat you become.
There could be a fair comment.
Obviously, correlation is not causation, but sometimes it's blatantly obvious.
Yeah, on a Friday or Saturday night, I'll be, yeah, definitely. I'll give you that.
So
nothing beats a drunk Kiwi.
Jazz, can I ask a question? You like getting intoxicating and coming into this chat?
I don't like to do it. But it's when you tend
do you feel like it's necessary to do?
I suppose you could say that, yeah.
Oh, okay.
He just can't help it. He loves it.
I'm always curious as to if people think that flat Earth is so stupid, why do you guys indulge in this? Why are there Globers in the chat an hour before the show even starts? Like, to me, I've never understood that mentality.
Well, if I can elaborate without being murdered, it's I think it's more the fact that you've got flatties and globers, right? And what would be a fair ratio you would say it is between flatties and globies?
I mean, we're massively in the minority.
100 to 1.
I don't know where this is. This isn't answering a question directly. This is it's like are you able to process this question? It was pretty direct.
Hang on a sec. Ballers don't answer questions directly. They always resort to ad hominem or personal attack.
Well, no, that's not the case.
It depends on what group of people you're talking to, because there's some people, depends on how you present yourself, then you will get direct answers. But still, the answers, you just got to take them on face value. It's not like it's true answer, you know.
And that's entirely true. But how many people are here right now? 6. And I'm guessing I'm the only globe believer here. Would I be right in saying that?
Oh, no, we did have Alan a minute ago, but he thinks doxing people is acceptable, and he thinks it's some kind of weapon that he can use as a weapon of choice. So it would have been 2, but because of Alan's behaviour, we don't think it's appropriate. So it's down to 1, I'm afraid. But you can thank Alan for that.
Oh, no, that's fine. That's fine.
What's your views on doxing?
I don't even really know what that is, to be perfectly honest.
Giving out someone's name and address. So it's doing an internet search to find someone like myself's address or phone number or whatever publicly available information there is on me, and then expose that information to an audience that may not know that information. That's it.
Is that what Alan's doing?
Yeah.
Well, he published Arwen's address. Now, I didn't know Arwen hadn't been doxed until that point, but, you know, a lot of us have been doxed, and now I don't give a shit. You know, 3 years ago it really stung and it was horrifying. Now I don't care. You know, but I'm the same as anybody else in that position. I've been doxed so many times, people think they're going to sting you by doing it. And literally, I'm so indifferent to it now. But for Arwen, it's, I assume, a new thing. I don't want to speak for you, Arwen.
I don't really care either. I just think that it is really freaking annoying. And
It's the fact that it's
I
being
don't
done as
really
a
mind
pretty
anyway.
malicious attempt.
It's just, especially if you're gonna like put out my phone number, that is just really nasty thing to do.
And I agree with that. And being here and coming from the other side of the fence, if you like, or the hemisphere,
Other
that
side of the hemi fence.
that is a stupid thing to do. I
Well, I
always
can
thought
agree with you on
doxing
that.
was. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I said I could agree with you on that one.
It's just
Yeah.
a malicious intent. It's not the actual act itself, because, like as he correctly points out, it is publicly available information. But you have to have a certain mindset to go and look for that public information and then use it as a weapon. It's publicly available information, and no one gives a shit. However, it's being used as a weapon. That's the bit I find repulsive.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's premeditated. You're going out looking for it.
Yeah.
And we both think differently, but on that scale, I think the same way. It's not cool at all.
Yeah,
But
so Jazz, back to the original question before
mhm.
we get too much into a tangent. So what is it that motivates you to come into this discussion?
I think he's lonely.
I'm lonely. No, I'm not. Um,
Ronry.
no, basically, no one shoot me down. I'm not an anti-conspiracy person, but the one thing that tracked me to this 3.5 years ago was chemtrails. All right. And somehow it led to the flat earth.
Okay, yeah,
From there,
I can sort of see that, being that they're both in the conspiracy world. Okay.
yeah. So from there,
Sorry.
sorry.
We've all been very polite today.
We are, aren't we?
Not because Jazz is sober though.
Yeah, he's inhibited.
Yeah.
Yes, I've fallen off the wagon.
Yes. Do you think there will be either soon or a little later a breakthrough, a piece of information, something that is going to be presented either in this show or in another, platform that is going to be changing on the views of what we all think and see this going down?
I get what you're saying, but here's where I'm coming from is, and please just take it for my own word, is I this is going to blow your minds, and please tell me if I'm wrong, but SpaceX and the space shuttles and the space station are up there. They go up there, they
Where?
orbit 240 kilometers above the Earth.
And where
I
is
mean,
that?
the ISS and all of that.
Yeah.
It's all
So
real.
are
That's
they
what you're
in an
saying.
orbit, or are they just hanging there by some mysterious fashion?
No, they're in orbit, and that's a crazy thing. Arwen, think about this.
Okay, so you're presupposing that it has to be a globe because they're in orbit,
No, let's see.
right?
Let's hear
No,
his
no.
theory.
I'm not presupposing anything.
Here you are. It's a formal logical fallacy. If we have the ISS, then it is orbiting. We have the ISS, therefore it's orbiting, and the Earth's a sphere. It's a formal logical fallacy. You're saying that one
No.
proves the other, even though the one doesn't necessarily follow the other.
No, I'm not presupposing anything, Nathan.
You are. You said orbiting. The word orbiting is a presuppositional word. It immediately means that you're on a sphere with things going around it. So when you say the ISS is up there, that's why Arwen said, "What's up there?" Because he's trying to get you to your presupposition quickly. And you did. You said, they're orbiting. Well, that's a presupposition that you're on a sphere with things flying around it.
But you got yourself to that same position without anything to prove that how you can get there.
Oh,
What
why couldn't
position?
something be up there on a flat Earth?
Because that's okay. I'm going to say one thing. I'm going to say I said chemtrails the other night prove the Earth's a globe. I'm going to say one more thing.
Oh, so you're not gonna answer the question?
No, I am going to answer your question. I'm going to answer
Well,
it with
then
another
answer it.
question. How can you prove? You can't prove space is fake, Owen.
It's not down to us to
I'm
prove
not
it's
trying
fake.
to. I'm asking you, why couldn't a space station or some kind of flying the apparatus be up there on a flat Earth?
But Owen, that's what you're saying. You're saying that the space station can't be up there. No
No,
space
that's
can
not what
go.
I'm saying. I'm asking you, why couldn't there be some kind of apparatus or station or something pretty big be up there on a flat Earth?
On a flat Earth.
Why could that not be possible? Okay, who's that?
Because
They
nothing
blame. Hello?
I know or anyone
Nah, troll.
knows can keep it up there.
Why not?
Do you know how to keep it up there?
Hello, you
Do I need
unorthodox.
to know?
Hear us?
What do you mean? Do you need to know?
Hello, unorthodox.
Hello,
Hello.
Nathan. What do you think? I know you think the same thing, but
I'm saying that you have. I've already said it. You have to presuppose orbits.
we don't have to.
Yeah, you did though. If you don't, you just say, well, there could be stuff in the sky, and that's where it ends. But you're saying, no, if it's in the sky, it must be travelling around a sphere, because I say it is.
But
Who
this is
knows
why
what
I.
is there? We don't know. We don't know what is really high up. Maybe there is some kind of end to the
But
downward acceleration force for some mysterious reason. Maybe there is anti-gravity like a technology available that can keep things floating up there. Maybe they found some other way using super light materials and very special gases. Who knows? You know?
but
Maybe there
Alan,
is a space city up there.
why would all right? Why would there not be a space city up there?
He didn't say there wouldn't be. He said there could be. He just doesn't know.
But you're saying that we can't get to space.
Have you been to space?
We can't
No,
get to a vacuum.
no, and neither have you.
We
Neither of
look.
you.
When we say you can't get to space, we're talking about the theoretical vacuum of space, the endless vacuum of space, which doesn't make any damn sense. But we do not know what
No,
the
it
confines
does
of
make
the flat
sense.
Earth is. So maybe there is a lot of space up there, as in room with air. No vacuum of space. That's very unlikely, but maybe there's just very, very, very thin air or some other type of mysterious plasma level type gases up there. Who knows what is up there and how far it goes up?
But
We don't know.
Arwen, the difference between the very low Earth satellites, which are lower than the space station and higher than the ISS, and I can't remember who was saying it the other night. Jeranism was saying that you can't understand how they're in the dark side.
Jazz. Isn't there's another space station up there besides the ISS?
Oh, what one's that?
Is there another space station up there besides the ISS, which I thought was the International Space Station?
Oh no, that is the International Space Station.
Right, but you just said there are satellites that are like above the space station, and
No,
there's
lower. He said
ones below.
lower. Yeah,
Lower and
we
above.
can't ever see them, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
Really quick, I am inviting Zell BTD from the chat room to join the show. Please present your views on the show, and you will be heard if you get a decent point.
He's been asked before.
Yeah, let him on.
If
Jazz,
Nathan let him join the show.
Jazz, do you understand what I said about affirming the consequent? Did that make sense, or can I explain it again if it didn't?
Not really, because you'll have to explain it again because
Okay, so I'll take it in 3 steps. So the first step is just the formulation of what you're stating, which is if P, then Q, Q, therefore P. So as an example
No.
that's easy to digest, you've got if I eat 10 hamburgers, I am very full. So if P, that being I have eaten 10 hamburgers, then Q, I am very full. So then you go Q, I am very full, therefore I have just eaten 10 hamburgers. Now the one doesn't necessarily follow the other because you can be very full after eating Chinese food. So that's
Maybe you should
that's
use
what you're
another
correct about.
analogy for jazz and use beers and drunk instead.
okay. So if I have drunk 10 whiskies, I am very drunk. Yeah? I am very drunk, therefore I just drank 10 whiskies, even though you've been on wine all night. So if P, then Q, Q, therefore P. So that's an affirming the consequent, or a formal logical fallacy. So the example in terms of the globe is to say, if I am on a globe, then satellites will orbit the globe. Satellites orbit the globe, therefore I'm on a globe. Even though the one doesn't necessarily follow the other. It's an affirming the consequent, formal logical fallacy.
Why don't you start from on a flat Earth and you've got a high altitude balloon going over the flat Earth, which is what I'll understand more accurately.
What about it?
Because I'm in your mind now. I'm in the flat Earth mind.
But what about it? I don't need to do anything else. I can now. You've done everything for me in that regards. I don't need to conceptualize anything. There's a balloon up there, right? That's what you're saying. Okay, with you.
No, you haven't done anything.
Yeah, I don't need to. What do I need to do?
To you and the people that are listening that think that the Earth's flat, because you've told them that it is.
Yeah, you've said about a balloon being in the sky. So I don't need to do a damn thing to explain that. Balloons go up into the sky. End of explanation. For you, balloons go up into the sky, but there is an invisible boundary layer that is next to a vacuum which it cannot quite penetrate. But if it did and had escape velocity, it could go round and round and round the presupposed sphere forever. That would be your explanation of a balloon going up into the air. Because it's a much more complicated presupposition that you have, and your belief system is strong, young Luke.
No, my position wouldn't be. It would be that your people think that gyroscopes think that they prove the Earth's flat, which they don't.
Okay. Well,
so if you want me
fascinating.
To talk to your
What's
audience,
this got to do with balloons? You said explain balloons, and I've gone, I don't need to. There's no explanation. It's a bit like a building that we see, Jazz. I look at it because I've got a set of eyeballs. And why do I see it? Because I've got eyeballs. That's the end of my explanation. I see it because I can see. Your explanation is you see it because it's a slightly looming non-standard refraction hyena hologram that has been bent around the presupposition of a curved Earth with an obstruction that we cannot see that is in the way, but it's sitting perfectly on top of because it's bent perfectly in proportion with that sphere Earth at 7/6 the radius of the Earth, plus whatever other mathematical adjustment we need to make to bring it back into basically looking like it's on a flat plane. That would be your explanation for just seeing a building. Mine is, I've got eyeballs.
No, Nathan, that's not the case.
Yeah, it is the case. I've had, 355 debates with people telling me that stuff I can see isn't really there. Or it's not actually in the place it should be. Or there's not quite enough of the bottom of it, but the rest of it, which shouldn't be there, is perfectly acceptable so long as you fudge the mathematics on a sphere Earth to say why it's there when it shouldn't be there. So don't tell me I'm wrong.
Do you know how a gyroscope works?
Sorry, we were talking about balloons going into the sky.
Yeah, and you went off on a tangent, so I'm going off on a tangent.
That's not a
Do you know how
tangent.
gyroscope
That's not a tangent. I'm saying that as a flat earther, my explanation...
It's a big tangent.
My explanation
it's a big tangent around a curve that you think doesn't exist.
That's your tangent.
You know how a gyroscope...
That's your tangent. That's your tangent, your belief, not mine. My explanation for the balloons required literally no words. You said, right, balloons go up into the sky. Okay, end of explanation. No further explanation needed on my side. Same as a building that we just see. No explanation required. I just see it. A balloon just goes up into the sky. If you want further scientific analysis of it, massive thanks to Mixlix, it's because presumably if it's a hot air balloon, hot air is less dense. It will rise.
Can you not see the curve on that screen?
Oh, sorry, we're not talking about balloons anymore, was?
No, I wasn't. I was talking about, can you see the curve on that screen?
No, it's been modelled out and it is absolutely 100% perfectly flat. There is also a lighthouse there that shouldn't be there. Can you see the lighthouse? I'm going to circle it for the audience's benefit, was. So in this picture, there is a lighthouse that should be obscured by a wall of earth curve. And yet we see it. Shut up.
And you can tell by the waves.
Shut up. You've just asked me.
From left to right.
Why do you keep joining, Rumpus? Don't rejoin. You've got work to be getting on with. Hangouts to be doing. Words to have kept. Don't join until you've done as you've said you'll do, Rumpus. You'll just keep getting ejected. Right.
No, come on, Rumpus.
You said there was a curve there. All I see is the lighthouse that should not be there on your model.
Of course that's all you can see.
Sorry, are you going to address the lighthouse in this picture? You've said you want to talk about the curve in it. There is no curve. It's been modelled out.
It's been CGI'd out. Did you say?
Hello.
Yeah, well, you applied the same...
You're scared then, Nathan. Very scared.
Rumpus, go and do the hangout you keep on promising, dickhead.
What do you want, Rumpus? What do you want?
No, Rumpus can come in if Arwen wants to stay in and you need to go.
No, he's made loads of promises of doing things which he has not done. He's not kept his word.
There's like 2.5 months since he promised that one response video that he never made.
Right.
He keeps making new promises that he never actually does.
Correct.
Oh,
he's got nothing
Nathan,
other than word salad and interruptions.
Nathan and sleeping. What's your name again? Arwen.
What?
I will pay for you two to come to Christchurch, New Zealand, and go to the South Pole.
Was a moment ago you were telling us about how there was a curve on screen, and then you were just very unlucky to have picked a picture that you didn't notice there was a lighthouse that should not be there in that very frame.
No.
Yeah?
The cost doesn't
now you're talking about the South Pole. This is called the scattergun approach. Throw out as much crap as you humanly can until you reach something that might actually give you a win. Yeah?
I'm not going to pay for your ticket then, Nathan, because
I don't want a ticket. I've been all over the world. I've no desire to go to Antarctica.
You haven't been all over the world. If you had been all over the world...
I haven't been all over the world. I'll go, Jazz.
Yeah,
I'll go.
Yeah, I'll take your 30,000.
All right, who wants to go?
This obfuscation technique is garbage. So I've just explained how a model that you idiots who believe you live on a sphere have works. And it is working by telling us that things we see in pictures aren't really there. They're obscured by Earth curve, and then we have slightly looming non-standard refraction hyena bringing things back into our view, bent back 7.6R around a pre-Sappho's radius that isn't actually obscuring anything. Yeah? That's what your religion tells you. I explained it, and then you said I was wrong and pointed out a curve that is not there on a picture we have extensively looked at. Are you going to now carry on talking about Antarctica and paying for people to go on trips?
Prove to you.
You're just interrupting me. Why are you talking about Antarctica? You've made 2 examples, both garbage. One about balloons. And I've said, are you just going to continually interrupt me? Yeah, that's what Woz is going to do. He's got absolute garbage arguments. Thanks again, Mixlix. Absolute garbage. And every time we unpick one, he moves on without actually conceding a damn thing. He doesn't say, yeah, you're right. I've got a very convoluted explanation for balloons. Yeah, you're right. I've got a very convoluted explanation for why this lighthouse can just be seen because I've got eyeballs. Yet my explanation requires about 10 minutes of explanation and the rumpus joining. Yeah? Well, my explanation is I've got eyeballs and you haven't addressed that yet.
That's because he can hardly formulate a sentence, let alone understand what's going on.
For real.
Nathan, just quickly in your observations, have you stated how far away you were from the observations?
Yeah, on about 60 shows.
Yeah, but
What about this one, Was? Al can do that too. I can change the subject. What about this building in the background? Is this an interesting building or is it just a building?
Sorry, can I jump in for a sec?
it's the Big Ben. Half of it's missing.
No, none of it was missing. It's a shore-to-shore observation of a building in its entirety, and the shoreline actually was. Yeah? Something that also, the rumpus, the reason he's not here is apparently he can model that perfectly. He's not done a damn thing. He's just said it, just words. Meaningless words that are accepted by idiot globeheads. People like you. Oh, you've got an explanation, have you? Oh, well, all is well.
No, I'm just saying
just
that
say you're all the
half of the
same.
Big Ben was missing.
So,
I'm Was, he's not Was.
we've had 2 points that you have raised, Jazz. 2 points. One
Thank
was
you.
about balloons.
Yeah, and
now you're interrupting me
someone
again.
else brought
You're
up
interrupting
the
me
other
again. You're
part of it.
interrupting me yet again. Can you not interrupt me while I summarise the 2 points that you have made and tried to move on from? Both have been addressed.
I will.
No, just
After
listen.
the other night, I
Just
will never
listen.
do so again.
Shh. Listen. You have made a point about balloons, and I've pointed out that we have a simple explanation. You have a very convoluted explanation. You've then moved on to a flat horizon, and I've pointed out that it isn't curved, and there is something in the image which, according to your faith and belief and religion, should not be there. Now, you have addressed neither of these points.
Deafening silence.
I'm just amazed that the silence was there. Praise silence.
There's only 219 people watching.
I think he's doing what Rumpus does.
This is actually
Drop
the
off
most people
silence.
who've watched this show. 227 watching. While Was sits in silence after he cannot address his own points
Yeah.
that he raised.
Jazz.
He's not Was.
I keep calling him Was. I'm sorry,
It's
Was. I know you're not Jazz. Sorry, I actually did clarify that at the beginning of the show, making me look like a right dick right now, so sorry.
We all look like dicks sometime in our lives.
So, Jazz,
Some more
what about
than
these
others,
2
though,
points
right?
you've raised? Are you going to
Some
just
more than
go
others,
silent?
right? Yep, definitely.
Excellent.
I think Jess might have gone for a refill.
He doesn't need a refill.
Okay, so we can take it from that Jazz has absolutely no response. I think, Jazz, it might be just that moment to go on mute and just maybe sit and listen for a while, yeah? Anyway.
Uh-oh.
Unorthodox, apparently you've
Lovely.
got some proof of R. Been bragging about it in the comments quite a lot.
Unorthodox, you there?
He's off mute, I don't know if his mic's broken. Quite
Well,
good.
in the deafening silence, I've been debating whether or not to bring this up, but something I said yesterday brought me under scrutiny in the Skype chat. I got some feedback. Is that everybody hearing that, Mike?
Yeah, I've just popped Unorthodox back on mute while he sorts his mic out.
Yeah. I find it interesting in my circles because I'm a Christian who has an education in that field, and then also the field that we're in terms of natural sciences here. And that is that something I said yesterday about the meaning of Genesis, I find that the knee-jerk response that is in the scientific community against heliocentrism, whereas they just reject the new information outright, is very similar to a lot of Christians when they come across a new perspective or a different perspective on biblical interpretation. And that's what happened yesterday. Rather than trying to find out what my position was or why I say what I was saying, this person just completely attacked me and tried to call me out on my perspective. So I find that interesting that someone who is open-minded about rethinking natural sciences isn't very open-minded about rethinking his commitment to biblicism, which is just the Christian version of scientism when you're not willing to reconsider your perspective. Anyway, I just thought that was interesting. Something that I come across all the time because I challenge both Christians and now the scientific world in terms of
the words of George Michael
approaches.
You gotta have faith.
Better shave your face.
Say again,
You
what?
feel like you get.
Can you guys hear me?
more,
I think my microphone was messed up.
Yeah, it's working now.
Okay. Now, what do you have to have faith in? What? The horizon?
R.
Are
Or what about the horizon, though? Right? You guys love, what you can see with your own eyes and what you can deduce with your own eyes.
They have something to
You
do
see
with
things
that.
disappear beyond the horizon. Why aren't they just disappeared beyond the horizon? Why do you have to come up with this whole cockamamie scheme about what's going on?
Let's just get back on track. You are here to tell us about your evidence you've been bragging about in the chat for the last 3 days of R. What is it?
Oh, I'm tired today, guys. I don't know if I can do it. I mean, you don't have to present me. It's mathematical proof, which is better than scientific proof, right?
No. Don't you understand what the words scientific and evidence in the same sentence actually mean in Orthodox?
Excuse me?
Scientific evidence. Do you understand what those words mean?
No, I'm talking about mathematical evidence.
No, I know what you're talking about. I'm talking about what you claim backs the globe. That would be science, not mathematics.
No, mathematics is part of science, Nathan.
That's fascinating. I'm sure there will be part of maths in your formulated scientific hypothesis. If there is, I will accept it, providing it has an independent and a dependent variable and qualifies as scientific evidence. Your mathematical evidence isn't acceptable. Is that
the
all
mathematical
you have?
evidence has an independent and a dependent variable, and you solve for R, and then you get the radius using the distances from, the different cities. Right. If you know that we know
you need
this,
to understand something real quick. You need to understand something that no matter what your mathematical formula is, it has to represent reality. So whatever you
it
present.
doesn't.
Okay, listen to me.
it doesn't?
Okay, hold on. Let me make my
Aren't
point.
we talking about reality? I'm sorry, man.
That's okay. That's okay. What I'm saying is that even if you bring up a mathematical equation, that equation is symbolic language, which is representing something that you are talking about. So all we're going to do after you present your language is ask for the basis for what you were saying, which is still reality.
It's still a hell of an argument, and it's very well constructed. And if you don't believe that the globe exists after you look at a concept like this,
That's the point. You have to start by believing the globe exists. That's the point of a presupposition, you complete dumbass.
Nathan, if I presuppose you're a wanker and you turn out to be a wanker, does that mean I was wrong?
I will confirm I am absolutely a wanker who understands science and also understands that your statement that if you believe you're on a globe is the presupposition.
I don't care. It works. It doesn't matter if it's a presupposition,
Oh,
Nathan.
really? It works, does it? Well, good for you. On with your faith, sunshine. Go in peace.
Oh, I can't present my evidence?
No, it's not evidence. Didn't you understand the first, second, or 52nd time that I said scientific evidence?
I told you I have mathematical proof.
Yeah, I know what you've told me, and I've told you why it doesn't qualify. Because it's not scientific evidence. Something that the Sphere seems to like bragging about having.
I mean, it really only take me like 5 minutes, Nathan.
I couldn't give a crap! Do you need kicking out of here? Or do you need telling for the 5th time that I do not care about your mathematical formulas that require me to believe I'm on a sphere at the beginning of you explaining it?
No, I'm a solve for R. I'm gonna get R out of the equation. So
Really, that's fascinating. I'd much rather have scientific evidence, which is precisely what I've asked on numerous occasions for. Specifically, scientific evidence only, as that is what the Globe claims to have. Scientific backing, not mathematical. How many times do I have to say this?
Why?
Julie?
Because you can't rebut that argument?
I can rebut it by saying it's only mathematics, right? Mathematics doesn't prove things, it only gives you a description of something. That's it. I'm not asking for you to describe R. I'm asking you to prove R. And the standard of that proof
Chemtrails.
and the
Prove
standard of
R.
that
Nathan.
standard is scientific evidence. You don't have to like it. You only have to go away, find some, and present it. That's it.
I found it, Nathan, and I want to present it. If you can't rebut the argument, then I'll just take that as a concession.
Oh, really? You're allowed to. I said, go in faith. Accept that I am a wanker, because I will not accept your belief as a premise of your mathematics. You can do that. That's fine by me. Sod off and keep the faith, sunshine. In R we trust. Okay?
So I'm getting a
I'm
concession
kind of
here?
interested to hear
In
how
R we
chemtrails
trust.
are supposedly going.
Let me give him
to
his
prove
concession. In R we trust.
Chemtrails prove the Earth's a globe.
Oh,
you
right,
can
didn't
look
you
at them
guys
on
like
the
getting
horizon. You
concessions?
can
Yeah,
see the
so
curvature of the
was
Earth.
babbling
It's
on.
chemtrails.
Perspective.
Is he kicking out? What?
Perspective?
God, I've done it again.
On the
Jazz.
horizon has nothing to do with your perspective. You can see them.
Shut up.
Oh, really? Nathan, did you hear that? The horizon has nothing to do with perspective.
Oh, really? It's just caused by it. Anyway, back on track with unorthodox. Do you understand why your evidence is being rejected, or would you like a concession that in R we trust?
So there's a concession that you're not going to let me present my evidence because it would, you can't rebut it?
It's not scientific evidence. How many times do I have to say it? If you're saying that you want to take that as a concession, then I will say no problem, my son. In R we trust. As one, we can deny perspective together, with one line between target and observation. Go in peace, my son. Your sins are forgiven. You can rest assured your faith is strong. There you go. Good enough concession?
No, not at all, Nathan. That's not.
Oh, right. Well, that's tough luck, mate. Sorry, I don't believe we're on a sphere at the beginning of your presuppositional mathematical example. Sorry, that's never going to happen. Can you not spam the chat feed, please? K-hole. Yeah, no spam. Anyway, yeah, I'm not going to accept your presupposition. That's never going to happen.
I'm not presupposing it, Nathan. I'm going to derive it.
Oh, is that right? Well, I would prefer
Yes.
you just proved it scientifically.
Excuse me?
Unorthodox?
Yes.
Okay,
Nathan.
so you said you went back and did a couple of hours of work to arrive at whatever you arrived at, right?
Yeah, I put this together just for you guys.
Okay. My question is, why did you have to do that?
Because I enjoy
if-
thinking scientifically and I enjoy exercising my brain.
That's not scientific. That's mathematical, right? I don't know how many times I have to say the same thing with you just saying science like it means something. Yeah? Science is particular. It's special. It's defined. It's not mathematics. The fact that you've said you've gone away and done this for a long time doesn't make it in any way scientific. Yeah? Science would be, oh God, the observation of a phenomena followed by a formulated scientific hypothesis. That would be your prediction. And then you go and test your prediction with systematic experimentation. That's science.
So you
That's
believe
not
my proofs
science,
of gravity?
Hey, Nathan.
Unorthodox,
Yes, Arwen.
real quick.
I want to say something now.
Go
No,
on,
but
Arwen.
I
Arwen,
didn't
I'd
get
like
to ask
to
my
do
question.
Very
Arwen.
short. It's just
I didn't get
Arwen,
to
give way
ask
to
my
Arwen for
question.
20 seconds. Come on.
right. So yeah. Now just thinking, say the holy belief in R. So maybe we should just chant it together. Radius Sanctus.
Radius Sanctus, Spiritus Sanctus, Amen. Go
Okay,
in
so
priest.
unorthodox.
In
The
our
holy
we
That's
trust.
chocolate saying.
In
That's
our
literally
we
what it
trust.
means.
I wanted to know. It's fantastic you went back and did work and math and all that to come to what you came to, right? But why did you have to do that? Why
Well, I didn't have to
isn't
do that. I
there
don't have to
just
do anything, right?
no? I understand that, but as far as proof of R, right? Shouldn't that just be out there already?
It is. And
Yeah.
basically, due to logic, I was
So
able to
so why
reconstruct
didn't
the argument. So this isn't an original argument. This is just a reconstruction of a
okay, got
mathematical
you.
proof.
But
All right, cool. Can we have some
but
scientific evidence
why
instead?
hasn't that been presented to us before?
I don't know if it has or not. That's what I'm saying. I mean, you don't know until you
Okay,
see
but
it.
if but you haven't done it. You said it's out there, right? So why all this time that you've been coming in here, why haven't you come in here once with that? Why did you have to go away
Well,
and
I
do
am right
math
now,
and
Chocolate saying.
Yeah, but you're coming in here with your own thing, which is cool. I have no problems with that. But why isn't that evidence already evident? Why
Well,
hasn't
because
it been
there's
brought
so
to
much
us
information in the
already?
world, you have to come across it. You know.
Uh,
And I had
I
just come
mean,
across this here recently. I mean, I probably could have deduced it, but
and I
you know,
got that, but Nathan's been asking people for proof of R for months now.
exactly.
And nobody's come in here and actually given us anything that we could actually say, oh look, there's the proof of R. You don't see a problem with that, bro?
That's why I'm coming on.
In terms of the proof of R,
So
can I
what you're
just
going
can
to
I come
do
in here
with
for a sec?
your mathematical equation that you are about to present is going to prove to us that there is such a thing as a radius of the
Yes,
Earth.
if you know
Like
the distance between two cities, multiple cities, the only way it's possible for the distances to work out is on a sphere. It doesn't work out any other way.
So therein lies your presupposition. So we've got to be on a sphere. That's the presupposition, you dumbass. How many times have we
It
got to
doesn't
say this
matter,
now?
Nathan. It doesn't matter. It works.
Well,
Like I
also,
said,
Oh, God. It doesn't matter because it works. I presuppose it's a sphere, and then I do the maths, and it works. Therefore, you must accept it. Right? If I have drank 10 whiskies, I am drunk. I am drunk, so I have drank 10 whiskies. Right? If I presuppose it's a ball, and then I make these measurements between two cities, then these two cities will prove I'm on a ball. Is that right, unorthodox?
yes, if you know anything about
Yes, yes, my affirming the consequent formal logical fallacies, right? Yes, that's right, Nathan. What a wonderful way to end the show. I absolutely love it when they confirm and actually say yes at the perfect moment. It makes my day. I love it. We're going to have a short break. So, yeah, with that, I think I'll say, oh, my kids can probably hear me saying that. Yes, you can. Come on then, come and say goodbye to the audience on that happy note. With that, I'm going to say first and foremost a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible by begging the question. And of course, a massive thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. If you hated the show, then you know exactly what to do. But if you like the show, maybe consider sharing it with a friend or subscribing if you have not done so already. I've been Nathan Oakley and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!